Stephen Moore, welcome.
Hi, yes, thanks for having me.
Glad to see you at the other end of the screen. We're only 2 hours away from one another, but it's still all this new technology is fantastic, isn't it? That I don't have to go up and down that road. I haven't been in Belfast actually in a couple of weeks, which is unlike me. I'm always up and down, but sometimes the road feels so familiar to me. You get sick of it. But anyway, so welcome. We're going to talk about an attack, a petrol bomb attack on the home of a young woman that you were writing about this weekend.
This woman is a young lady called Daryl Mahood, who is a mother of 5, I think. That's right. She came downstairs, heard a lot of noises by all accounts, to find that her windows had been smashed. Some kind of substance was either paint or glue had been chucked at the windows, and some sort of paint bombs, and they were in what the person who told me the story explained. They were in some sort of curry jar, because this white chemical substance chucked at the windows, smashed the windows, made a whole mess. When Daryl came out to see what was going on, she discovered that her Mercedes car had been petrol bombed and was alight. So a video of that had gone around, which I'd seen, which is quite terrifying. You know, especially at night when you see a car in flames, and it's very distressing because the video is very distressing because she's distressed and the people with her are distressed, and they're describing what's happened, and you can just. The sheer panic.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Here.
So Daryl Mahood, now she's a very glamorous looking woman and looks almost like an influencer type person. Tell me a little bit about her, who she is.
I think that's certainly what Daryl would like to be. And I think she has quite a lot of followers on her Instagram account. She is, unfortunately, she has got a side in the family. Her father was a well-known paramilitary. Called Jackie Mahood, who had a very, very checkered past with the UVF and the LVF, and was a victim of gun attacks himself and feuds, and so she's got that in her blood, if you like.
And Jackie Mahood, is he still alive, or did he?
He's still alive.
Yeah.
No, he's still alive. He's originally from the Shankill. Yeah. These guys would have been from, and Jackie. Yes, Jackie was involved with the UVF for years and years. Jumped ship with Billy Wright with the LVF, and but then apparently left after it was a number of feuds, shot many times and attacked, and left, complaining that loyalist paramilitaries were just full of drug dealers and criminals, you know. So
a pretty terrifying character then himself.
Oh yes, absolutely. In his past, yeah, absolutely terrifying character, yeah, very much so.
And somebody that, I mean, I suppose, you know, if you're in turn attacking the home of his daughter, you're probably you gotta be aware that this is somebody who might sort of avenge that. Certainly, that would have been something in his background.
Yeah, well, I yes, certainly in his background, but nothing at the minute. I suggest that he's anything to fear. And I'm not sure the relationship has always been perfect between Daryl and her father. Anyway, so she has a father who's a notorious paramilitary, and she somehow ends up involved in a relationship with a man called David Matthews, who is the son of the alleged East Belfast UVF leader, Stephen Matthews.
Okay. So presumably they grew up together, did they? Or they would have known or mixed in each other's circles if the two fathers were sort of notorious figures on that side of the divide.
It's funny because they're different sides of the city, and so I can't be sure. I couldn't tell you how they probably did mix in some of the same circles. You know, they would have come across at some kind of loyalist events or whatever parties, wherever they ended up. But I can't tell you how they met. But they were together for about 10 years. Until maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. I think then it was very much on and off. But David obviously has his own past, and Daryl obviously is trying to get on with her life, as I've been told. With her, they have 2 kids together.
Yes. Is the PSNI investigating this incident? Has she complained, or is it something that is there a point? I mean, are they going to actually sort of investigate and maybe find out who did this? Usually, it's certainly down in Dublin, or down in the south. Often we'd have stories similar to this where people are being intimidated, their homes are being attacked. And it's usually young lads with masks on and hoodies and balaclavas or whatever. So any chance of getting CCTV of them or identifying them is fairly slim.
Well, it's the same here, because if you watch the video, you can hear her saying there were 6 of them, and a neighbour actually says, no, there was 8 of them, with 8 young lads with in black clothes carried this attack out. As for the police, what I found very strange was I found out about it on the Wednesday. Somebody sent me the video when I contacted the police about it. So 48 hours later, they gave me a statement, but only because I asked for it. They hadn't put out a release, an appeal, appealing for witnesses. I mean, and there had been other attacks that actually been had. There was a race hate attack, I think, in East Belfast on the Thursday, and they were immediately out with a press release. We're looking for witnesses. This is a racially motivated hate crime. We want to find these people. And this is the tragedy of it. I think when there are paramilitary links and that kind of thing, I almost think that it's almost people, they just accept it. Nobody's ever going to find anybody, whether that's because, like you say, it happens so late at night, or whether because they think nobody's ever going to speak. Even if they do speak, nobody's going to court to give out statements. I can't explain. I mean, it's something maybe I will ask the police as to why they hadn't put out an appeal. If we hadn't asked about it, I'm not sure anybody would have known about it.
Yeah. And like these sort of attacks, well, if you look at them, it's property that's been damaged largely. Nobody's hurt, but they could have been. But I think it's the fact that they're so intimidating that somebody comes to a person's home and puts in their windows. It's just so close, isn't it? And that's what makes it so terrifying, and it's sort of so invasive, and it's a tactic used by crime gangs and by paramilitary forces, etc., to just utterly terrorise people out of their homes.
Up here, I don't know what it's like down in Dublin, but I know up here in Northern Ireland, it's a tried and tested method to get people they want out of an area very quickly. I mean, if that happens to you, if that happened to me once, I wouldn't be long packing up and leaving it. But it's, I mean, this woman in this same house this is a campaign against this woman for whatever reason. Because this happened, not something as bad as this, but 2 years ago, I'm told her windows were broken by a man in a mask. I know that she posted videos on Instagram last year, I think, where she came back from a weekend to find her car, the same car that was petrol bombed and destroyed, had the tire slashed by somebody while she was away. So this is a campaign for whatever reason, but I mean, whatever reason it is, there's absolutely no justification for this kind of thing. Usually,
she's obviously a very feisty woman that she stays put, and she's not being intimidated out.
Well, that probably comes from growing up with her father. She's seen it all before. She will have lived with. I'm almost certain she'll have lived with her father at times when the father was under threat, or like I say, he was shot a couple of times. So it's almost bread and butter, unfortunately, and that's so it brings you to the.
And is that house because I don't know that area, but is that house a council property or is it a private?
That'll be. I think it's a housing executive house. I think I'm not. Yeah, no, it is a housing executive house because I remember writing about it before. Yeah. When they were together, they'd fall like they had been living in a nice big house up in Dundonald, and they'd fallen out. They had quite a tempestuous relationship, and she was moved into this house near Beersbridge Road, which ironically is where in 2013 loyalist paramilitaries from the LVF attacked another woman, a Gemma McGrath. I don't know if your listeners will remember a Gemma McGrath, but she's quite a famous case where she was shot 9 times by the EVF, left with serious injuries, had to go for one of the longest surgeries ever in Northern Ireland medical history by all I've read. But she was attacked by the LVF and intimidated, but survived and had recently won some business awards after she set up a business, and has spoken very openly about the growing up in East Belfast and her problems with drugs when she was younger, and then being attacked by our militaries.
Yeah, and that's, I suppose, is what makes that, this case so sort of important, because this is a woman on her own in a house with children when this is happening. I mean, they made some job of her car.
Yeah. Oh no, there was no coming back from that, is there? You're not taking that down to the shops, unfortunately.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think you'd be straight onto the insurance company if it would cover
Yeah.
it. If it would cover it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, Stephen, thanks for coming on to tell us about that, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Thanks very much.
I'm Nicola Tallant, and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs, and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.